Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in and welcome to Nature's People. Today's topic is why is solitude and loneliness affecting the Gen Z generation, and how does that affect on the way we think, the way our society is trending, and how things will, you know, um, what are the cascade effects of these things over the course of times, as far as the military goes, as far as education goes, as far as economic goes. And I hope you stay tuned and getting right into it. All right, first and foremost, one of the things that I have to say is how solitude and loneliness affects our brains in general. Okay, the brain has this region called the amygdala that is really intrinsically related to the factors of fear centers, as far as controlling our anger, our desires, our our reaction towards environmental assaults, and how that relates to how our brain comprehends and assesses that and finds a way of retaliating. That has a lot to do with the threats in the environment. Now, loneliness. One fun fact about loneliness is that being lonely for say a day or a week has such derogatory or such corrosive effects, to an extent that you feel like a person who has been smoking 15 cigarettes per day. So a person who feels lonely, the brain, the effects of loneliness are the same as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. What does that mean? Cigarettes, for those of you who do not know, a pack of cigarette, or just one cigarette, has 200 plus cancerogenous, 600 plus chemicals, and 200 of those are cancerogenous. That means they can cause cancer. And what that means is that being lonely is so profound and so so bad to the brain, that the brain feels that it lacks something. One of my theories, or just this is just my personal note, on a personal note, I think that has to do with the fact that for our survival back in the days, we relied intrinsically and highly to each other, and that sort of has these neurons, or like brain parts, highly and strongly wired to desire bonding and connection and affinity and closeness to others. I've noticed this on me also. I've noticed that whenever, for instance, I am alone, say at home, and there's nobody there, it feels, and I'm not communicating with people, I feel like something is missing in me, that I should go out, I should go, do an activity. I think loneliness is really strong in the brain. Now, how does that affect the military now? For example, today, the US military has a lot of deployments to the Middle East and to Africa. You guys have known that a lot of things have been going up in Africa. Coup d'etats, governments are falling there, and Africa is a resource-rich continent. Africa, as far as as far as resources goes, 30% of the remaining mineral resources on the face of Earth are in Africa. That has a lot of repercussions as far as manufacturing and prospective exploitation and exploration of resources goes. Some of the people who say, "Oh no, but Russia is an energy superpower. Canada is an energy superpower. Venezuela is an energy superpower." However, resources comes in all shapes and forms, and Africa is at the top of the list. Anyways, without wasting much time, getting back into how solitude and loneliness is affecting our generation right now. I have to say one interesting thing. Let's go through this aisle here. So I have to say one interesting thing. So, um, you know, today's life and today's generation uh, has been really wreaked havoc with the facilities that our ancestors had left for us. One thing, for instance, internet. Like someone could go on the internet, connecting with people that are on the other side of the world, talk with them, relate with them. However, without leaving home. And what that means is people are able to, isolate themselves without further repercussions, without really the brain feeling that strong, denting, or that strong force to tell you to go outside and reconnect to others. And one of the things that I think that is so bad for our generations is that I've mentioned that in previous videos, is that our fertility rates are really plummeting. And one of the reasons they plummet is that because of social media, people don't go outside as much. People don't connect as much. People don't relate as much. And not relating, people would say, oh, but I can use social media, Tinder. Do you know what is the percentage? So for people out there who think that dating platforms results in fruitful relationships, the share of matches that has resulted into a successful marriage on Tinder. So this is a survey. This is just a survey. This is just a survey that was made right there. Only 0.26%. Only mind you guys, only 0.26% of the matches that happened on Tinder resulted into fruitful marriage. A fruitful marriage is a marriage that lasts past 8 years, survives at that 8-year mark. So that's really interesting. Now I've talked about the military. The U.S. government doesn't really have enough, people accepting and applying for the military, and so that has repercussions for deployments. The government doesn't have much of that. The economy, people don't want to work, don't want to do physical work, don't go outside. They just want to be indoors. That affects a lot. That affects the economy as far as productivity goes. And one last thing is on happiness, on general terms of happiness. Many people discard the effects of happiness on people, but happiness is really important. I think people sharing smiles, sharing moments, sharing emotions is really necessary. So loneliness, I'll just try summarizing this video in a short and brief note, is that loneliness is really affecting our generation, because loneliness is corrosive. It's very detrimental for the brain. It's bad for the brain, and that has just a cascade of effects that follow up from that point onward. I know Western countries are most times cold, that and people tend to have that cold culture, as in stay indoors, not relate as much, not talk as much, don't smile as much. It's understandable, but that doesn't justify that people have to avoid social relations. It's I think it's really bad. I don't think people used to live that way back then in the days. It's just my personal note, guys. So this is it. This is the video for you. Why is loneliness affecting the Western world? Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. I know the video wasn't great, but keep them wheels going. All right, thank you. See you in the next one. Share, like, and subscribe.